welcome back to my channel. There's always room for. My name is Kim and today I am super excited to share this tutorial with you. I'm going to be teaching you how to make an infinity scarf. But what makes this infinity scarf extra special is I've tucked away a little surprise inside. I've attached a matching face mask to this scarf. So now that it's gotten colder outside, I find myself reaching for scarves more often. And now that I have to grab a scarf, maybe some gloves, a hat, and always bringing a mask with me, I find that having these two things attached to each other is actually just super helpful, and it gives me one less thing to worry about. So if you would like to learn how to make this infinity scarf with matching attached face mask, follow along.
Lay out your 1 yard of fabric. It should be folded over. The 1 yard width is 36 inches. The folded side should be around 22 inches when folded, 44 inches when unfolded. Cut the fabric down the center to give you 2 even pieces of fabric, each measuring 1 yard wide. Take one of the pieces of fabric and cut a 6-inch strip off for making the masks. This strip of fabric will give you 4 separate mask pieces, enough to make 2 masks, one to attach to the scarf and one extra. I like to fold the fabric in half and make sure that the rounded edge of the template, which will end up being the center of your mask once it's sewn together, is at the folded edge. This helps make sure the mask pattern aligns correctly. This is especially helpful when working with plaid fabric. If you were to cut out the pieces one by one in different directions, the pattern isn't guaranteed to match up as nicely. You'll need 4 pieces of cotton broadcloth fabric as well, to act as the liner for the masks. I chose to make these masks only 2 layers, with the liner being tightly woven cotton and the front being super thick flannel. These pass the Bill Nye candle test. If you're familiar with making masks, you can skip ahead to 4 minutes and 33 seconds to get to the infinity scarf making part. If you want a more in-depth mask making tutorial, you can click on the link below. To make the masks, I'm sewing down the rounded edges of each of these pairs of fabric, giving a 3/8 inch seam allowance, backstitching at the beginning and end of every seam. Trim the corners off and snip 3 to 4 lines towards the seams. Iron the seam to make the flaps flat against the mask layer. Then sew the 2 mask layers together with the pretty sides facing in, with a 3/8 inch seam allowance along the top and bottom sides. Trim off the 4 corners of the mask and cut a slit down the center of the bottom of the mask as shown. Turn the mask inside out and press with an iron. Fold the unfinished edges in about 2 centimeters and iron those as well. Now it's time to sew in the elastic. I make my masks with a 6.5 inch piece of elastic for petite faces. If you are unsure of how long to make the elastic, you can always make the elastic longer and add rubber adjusters to the elastic. Your mask is complete. Repeat these steps for the second set of fabric. Now it's time to make the infinity scarf. Line up the 2 pieces of fabric. Your fabric should measure about 66 inches long total. Lay one of the pieces on top of the other, lining one of the edges up together. Because this is a knit flannel and the pattern is on both sides, I don't need to worry about which sides are showing, but if your fabric is blank on one side, just make sure that the right sides are put together. We're going to make these 2 pieces of fabric equal to 1 long piece of connected fabric. So sew down the edge with a 3/8 to 5/8 inch seam allowance. Now that the pieces are connected and you have 1 long piece of fabric, fold the piece in half lengthwise with the pretty sides facing together, unfinished sides facing out. The folded piece should still be 66 inches long. You're going to essentially sew the top and bottom parts of the fabric together, but what you want to do is leave about 3 to 6 inches open on each end, as well as sew a little line down, coming down from the top. I'd call it a little L shape to start, followed by a straight seam all the way down, ending with a backwards L shape, followed by 4 to 6 inches of open fabric at the end. I like to mark the ends with straight pins to remind myself not to sew straight the whole way down. This is the open end that's about 4 inches long. And here I am starting the little L shape, sewing down. There's the bottom of the L. And now I'm going to continue in a straight line until I hit the next straight pin. Now here's that second straight pin reminding me to stop, and I'm just going to close off this seam, doing a backwards L here. And you can see I'm leaving a couple inches at the end unsewn. Now you can turn the fabric inside out to expose the pretty side. Your scarf is almost complete. Lay the scarf out flat, then twist it twice. You're basically folding it over 2 separate times, which helps give it a little more volume when you actually put the scarf on. Line the 2 ends up together. And use straight pins to secure the sides together. This part gets a little tricky because the fabric starts to bunch up the further you go along. What it's going to look like when you're done pinning is basically a fanned out shape. There's the fan. And now you're just going to sew a straight line all the way around. This will connect both ends of your scarf together. Remove the pins. Trim off the excess threads. And turn the fabric inside. Now all that's left to do is to close the opening at the top. You can hand sew this part if you don't want the seam showing, but I find that with this kind of scarf, you won't even notice the seam, especially if your fabric has a lot going on in the pattern. This completes the scarf. Once the scarf is done, pick a place where you would like to attach the mask. I like to choose a spot in the middle of the two seams. Pin the mask in place at one of the edges of the scarf. And sew the mask onto the scarf, remembering to backstitch at the beginning and end of the seam. And now you have your completed infinity scarf with attached face mask. So one of the questions I came up with when I made this scarf mask combo was, how do I put this thing on correctly? It actually can be a little bit tricky.
So here's a little tip from me to ensure that when you're putting on your scarf, the mask will always be in the correct position so you can put it on easily. So what you want to do is get the mask and face it towards you and put it over your head. Putting the mask on itself actually makes it a little bit easier. And then from there, you want to gather the fabric at the back and twist it and create a loop. Bring it over your head. And then you can start fluffing it out. And then you can take the mask off and tuck it away. That way, when you want to grab your mask, you know it's always in the front and it's in the right position, and you can just slip it on again. And that's a wrap on today's tutorial for how to make an infinity scarf with a matching attached face mask. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. This is the first time I'm saying those phrases on my channel. I have to admit, it's a little bit awkward. But anyways, I hope you guys give this tutorial a try. I think this would make a great gift for your family and friends this holiday season because it'll keep them warm and cozy and safe all winter long. Thank you so much for tuning in and following along. My name is Kim, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.